What is up, geeks and geekettes? It's another edition of the Countdown to the Geekcast. We back. My name is Ted, aka Steady. We hope you had a great Christmas and or enjoyable happy holidays. Joining me on this stream is one, the only Retro Ray. What's going on, sir?
Hey guys, good to see you guys again. We got a lot of fun stuff to talk about. And if you've seen Rebel Moon, we'll talk about that as well.
Absolutely. What's going on, everybody? Once again, we hope you guys have had a very enjoyable holidays. Tell us what your favorite part of it was, your favorite meal, or your favorite dish, or maybe your favorite gift. I know it's not about the gifts, but what was your favorite gift from this past holiday season? Join us in the chat, say what's up, and if you would be so kind, please do like and share this stream. As Ray already mentioned, we had a great show for you guys. We're going to be talking all about Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon, number one streaming movie on Netflix in 93 countries. If you didn't already know, Netflix is streaming in nearly 100 countries and has already put up some decent numbers, 24 million views in just 3 days, which is not too shabby, as I always say. But first, this is the part of the show where we actually just talk about some geeky weekly headlines, um, and most importantly, some of the events that are going on around town. So, if you would please give me just a moment here. Would like to talk to you guys a little bit about a major event that's coming up in San Antonio. You all know about our friends over at Superhero Comic Con and Car Show. We put out a ton of videos from last year's event. Well, if you have not been following us, they are putting together a second show known as SpaceCon San Antonio. This has already been turning a lot of heads, mostly because it is featuring a ton of like fantastic actors and actresses from not only the Star Wars universe, but also the Star Trek universe and pretty much everything else in between. So, real quick, let's take a look at their website here. Mm, 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 mm. Mhm. Most notably, they announced the appearance of oh, oh, the appearance of Jerry Ryan, who was absolutely incredible on the final season of Star Trek Picard. And they've also announced a slew of other guests from the Star Trek series, including Picard, including one of your buddies, right, Ray?
Dude, I was just surprised when they announced that, getting him on a show that we got to interview him on before the he even aired his episode. It was so cool. But Todd Stashwick, he's a great actor if you guys don't know who he is. But him coming on Star Trek, he became a character that people loved just because the way he portrayed himself. Um, yeah, I can't wait for this. I can't wait. I hope we can host his panel and Jerry's panel because it'd be so cool. But I'm excited, man.
Yeah, it'd be absolutely amazing. And like everybody just immediately from the jump, like loved Stashwick's character.
Yeah.
And when we had talked to him, we actually got to find out, from his childhood dreams of being like on Star Trek. So it was fantastic. Like hearing how passionate he was about the franchise and then getting to play this like I don't want to say iconic because it's only one season that he got to play him, but like seriously, he killed it. He nailed it. It's such a great role for somebody who grew up a Star Trek fan, and now you can meet him by coming down to San Antonio next October. They will be here October 25th and 26th in San Antonio. And For those of you who haven't found out yet, if you go to spaceconsa.com, you can also get 20% off your 1, 3, or VIP admission badge when you use promo code SPACE20 at checkout. You're going to want to go to this event. Hayden Christensen's going to be in attendance. The cast from SG1 is going to be in attendance. Katie Sackhoff, Ming Na Wen, and they're not even done yet. They've already promised at least a handful more A-listers to be in attendance. And I don't know who else you can get because like the cast list is already stacked. Like I mentioned, SG1, Stargate SG1, they look fantastic. Where's that big picture with all the
Well, dude, my
folks?
buddy's hardcore Stargate fan. I messaged him when they announced that, and I told him, dude, did you see this? He's like, no, and he messaged back. He's like, yeah, I'm just getting my daughter into watching Stargate, and he's huge Stargate fan, so he was excited to hear because they've never, I mean, they've had some Stargate, characters appear, like maybe one or two here, but they never had the cast, come together at one show.
Yeah, no, I agree. And this is the one I was trying to find. This just if this isn't like as close to a Star Trek like convention you can get. William Shatner, Jonathan Frakes, Gates McFadden, Brent Spiner. We already mentioned Todd Stashwick, Robert Duncan McNeil, John Delancey. Just incredible cast list, a guest list. I don't know. I'm stoked, man. Like I mentioned, we talked about the final season of Picard before, like top tier television. Like honestly, one of the best written seasons of like any franchise. Most importantly, because it's from bringing in so much lore from several different Star Trek shows that have come before it. It just had so much writing on it, and there's so many ways that it could have gone wrong, but it just killed it, knocked it out of the park. Honestly, one of the best seasons of television I've ever seen.
Yeah, same here. I What got me so excited is when you get to see spoilers. You guys haven't watched it. Enterprise D, you know, in the museum, and Jordy had been fixing her up and stuff like that. It was just like got goosebumps when I saw her appear in the screen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It just pulled out all the stops. It had so many twists and turns. It was gutsy. Some of the things that they actually did in that series, not to mention the final season. Um, and I haven't watched every single Star Trek show out there, but it was just fantastic, man. A roller coaster of emotions. Honestly, that final season, um, just put so much passion, heart, energy into that show. And you can hear from Todd Stashwick himself if you go check out our interview with him. Just all about what he went through and what the entire cast and crew went through while doing that.
But then
Okay,
also, don't forget, what about the interview that we did with Liz Kalkowski? The person,
Liz.
the one who recreated Enterprises D's bridge from the bottom up with the
Yeah,
original
man.
creators of it. You know what I mean? That interview was fun. Between uh me and Brian doing the interview was like me and him were like a kid in a candy store.
I love it, man. No, she was fantastic as well. It's such a kind of a once in a lifetime type project for a lot of these folks to work on a show like that with so many legends, so many iconic characters. We can say that because they did bring back so many iconic characters for that show. Even cameoed a few iconic characters from the Star Trek franchise. You're gonna have to go check that out to see it. But anyways, spacecon.sa.com is the website. Use space 20 at checkout to get your 20% off. and you do not, I repeat, you do not want to miss this event. Um, I actually wanted to do something kind of special. I wanted to show a clip of what you could expect at this type of event. Luckily, our good buddy from the team, Brian, had put together some incredible videos from our time at Superhero Comic Con last year. So, in case you haven't seen it, if this is your first time, congratulations. But this is what you can expect next year at SpaceCon San Antonio.
Greetings, everyone. I am Brian Ortiz with Countdown City Geeks, here with another highlight reel from day 2 of the Superhero Comic Con and Car Show 2023. So much to see and so much to do on this jam-packed Saturday. So, in the immortal words of Samuel Jackson,
hold on to your butt.
thanks for watching. We still have one more day of fun to go, so come back here for more Superhero Comic Con and Car Show 2023. Adios.
Yeah, shout out to some of our friends that made that video. Juan Gonzalez from the Con Culture group in here in San Antonio. David Lozano, you were in that video as well. A couple of our other friends. You also saw stars like Kit Harrington, WWE legend Rikishi, Brie Larson. I mean, just an incredible time. And that's exactly what you can expect from not only SpaceCon San Antonio next October, but also, part two of Superhero Comic Con and Car Show, which has been moved from July to June this year. What was your favorite part, man, from that whole massive event that we had last July?
Well, didn't I mean I got out to walk a little bit of the floor, but I was more, in our booth, doing a lot of the booth stuff.
Yeah.
The fun part I think that I had was when we got to take the group, or say group photo, but photo with, me, you, Mike, and your son with what's her name? Brain fart right now. Um
Uh,
she's my favorite, right?
Haley Steinfeld.
Yeah, Haley Seinfeld. And then, that was cool, seeing her going from the actress that she did when she portrayed, in True Grit, and then going from there, to Transformers, and then to Spidey Gwen, and then to Hawkeye. Man, she's on a roll right now.
Yeah, no, the sky's the limit for her. And then oh man, there's just so many things in that one clip. Alakwa Cox, you saw her walking to her
Yeah.
panel that I moderated, and Echo, her show is like 2 months away, 2 weeks, 2 weeks away. Her show is 2 weeks away from airing on Disney Plus, and I don't know why people are more excited about it. She's back. Daredevil's back. Kingpin is back. It's like a mature rating, like we saw from the trailer, like how like brutal the show is gonna be. So I can't wait, man. The more brutal Marvel gets, the better. I don't think anybody's complaining about that. I apologize for the parents who have young ones, but we're all about that. So shout out to Alakwa Cox. She was just so sweet, so humble during the panel that we were part of, and looking forward to her show. This next story I know you're all about. That's why I brought it up. But in case you haven't heard, you're hearing it first from the Countdown City Geeks. Steven Chiodo, who was part of the team who brought you the Killer Clowns from Outer Space movie, well, he actually has a plan to come out with a show, a Killer Clowns series that is set within the same universe as the original film. He actually said, "We've got a great concept that continues the story of our main characters. We'll follow a new group of teenagers who come upon the clowns and meet a drunk living in his van, maybe down by the river. It's Mike Tobacco. There's a big invasion, and we end up on the clown planet. We have lots of great ideas about where the universe goes. You haven't even seen the clown animals on the clown planet yet. There's a whole world of things that we have in mind. Ray, would you be excited to see a TV series from the Killer Clowns universe?"
Dude, this is to me is up there with, Evil Dead. It's a cult classic for me. I got my little nephew into it for Christmas. I got him a Killer Clowns t-shirt. I got him a shorty pop. Uh be honest with you, getting the opportunity to interview the actors that were in the mask and the clown suits and to interview the main actor from the movie, I was stoked. I want to thank our friends at the convention up in Rolling Oaks that, helped us get that interview. Um, I couldn't believe it. They just said, hey, they're willing to do a podcast interview. I was just going there to take my nephew just to kind of get a feel, about these little shows because he hasn't been to a major con. And he fell in love with it. And when they told us about the interview thing, and I was like, oh, I don't have my equipment because I didn't become expecting to do anything. I was just coming for the show. And it it was cool, so cool, dude. So cool. The guy was so fun. If you guys haven't seen the interview, go to our YouTube channel. The interview is there with them. Such a cool guy. Even the actors who were in the suits as killer clowns, it was just fun, and that's the cool thing about little events and venues like that as well, as you get, close interaction with them. And even the actors themselves were kind of like, this was different to them. I mean, they've done other conventions before and they were stating, this is, the venue, the way it was a small venue. They were able to interact with the fans a lot more closely. They felt the love from San Antonio and they said they would come back again because they loved it so much. It was just fun, man. I don't think you were able to go, but dude, you should have gone.
Yeah, I wanted to, and I'm just a horror movie fan in general, and honestly, like the first few times I watched Killer Clowns, it was just kind of another movie to me. Um, but like many great cult classics, it kind of grows on you over time. And right now is probably the time when Killer Clowns has had the most sort of interest out in the public because the video game just came out. I forget who the developer was, but the video game just came out, and like the graphics are great. They got everything down, like the weapons, the movement, the animation, the sounds. Like it is a solid game set in this franchise. And so if you ask me if I want if I'm interested in seeing a Killer Clown series where we will finally get to see Clown Planet, and finally get to, not finally, but we get to learn more about the lore. We get to learn more about where they come from, and what they said animals, so I'm going to say just the life that's around this planet, like what that might look like. And keep in mind, like their weapons, they all look like cotton candy, and they all look like these weird gizmos and stuff. So like, yes, I want to see that. I think that could be cool. I'm very interested in that, and so I hope Netflix. Who would probably do it? Peacock, Hulu. That wouldn't be a Disney thing, but Hulu, could pick it up. It wouldn't go on Disney Plus, but they could put it on Hulu. I would like to see what that looks like, and I think this could be the start of a reboot of the franchise, and I'm down for that. I know it's a little cheesy. It's on the fence, right? It's on the fence of being a little cheesy, but I think that if done properly, this could be the start or the reboot of the franchise. I mean, look at Five Nights at Freddy's, walking and talking animatronics, murdering people. That's a big thing now. The movie made tens of millions of dollars, and they're gonna keep that going for as long as they can. So that's not too far fetched. Why can't this be? I want to see it.
Oh yeah, I definitely do. It was ahead of its time. I mean, you think about the work they did with what they had to work with, the special effects, the costumes, and now with technology that we currently have, can you imagine what else they can bring into this world and what they can create?
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I hope they don't do too much CGI in the clowns. The work they did on the suits were great. I want that, more, practical effects. But the other stuff that they did before, like the laser beams and stuff like that, I'm pretty sure that could be a lot more,
Updated, yeah.
yeah, updated and stuff like that. But yes, I am definitely 100% down. I want to see it and see where they take us because the potential's there. I mean, they could have had kids. They could be abducting their kids. They're having to go save their kids. There's so much they can do with the story. You know what I mean?
They should just go the way that Five Nights at Freddy's did. They went to Jim Henson's Creature Shop, and
Yeah.
so all the animatronic suits were made out of Jim Henson's Creature Shop company. I would honestly love to see them tackle these clowns. The designs would be spectacular. They would be very close to the originals, but they would probably have more movement to them overall, more facial, movement. They could probably even move, have a little bit more flexibility in the way they walk, or some stuff like that. Yeah, don't CGI the clowns for sure. Go practical, but spend some money by getting somebody who knows exactly what they're doing. Like, go to Jim Henson's Creature Shop, get them to work on these suits, and same thing, work on the gizmos too. Any practical effects, or what are they called? Prop maker would love. This would be a dream job if a prop maker could get their hands on making the weapons and all the little gadgets or whatnot, for a movie or TV show like this. So I'm glad I brought it up with you because I know you're a massive fan. We're both in agreement. Please, 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 any streaming service, pick up a Killer Clowns series, greenlight that thing, and let's see what they can do with it. I think it'll be
Wait,
massive. I really do.
but dude, look at the Twisted Metal, man. Look how well that one came out. They got a season 2 coming. I mean, that one was great. I was the biggest thing I got was the character who portrayed the clown. Uh, that's the one thing I was worried about that show. But the wrestler they got portraying him, oh man, he
Samoa
did.
Joe, yeah,
Yeah, Samoa Joe just is perfect for the role. Um, Same thing, guys. If you guys haven't, or you're just seeing us now, go check out me and Ted's interview with the makeup artist who did the special effects for the show as well. That's another one we did. So there's so much stuff that we're working on for this show, and it's just so cool how it comes full circle when stuff comes back, and it hits big as well.
absolutely. In other news, director Todd Phillips, if you don't know who that is, Todd Phillips was the genius behind the original Joker movie back in 2019. Well, he wanted to give everybody a Christmas present of his own, so he dropped this the other day, a on-set photo featuring Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker and Lady Gaga as one Harley Quinzel, aka Harley Quinn. We'll probably see, that entire transformation in the movie, of course. But I think this is going under the radar. We're not talking about it enough. The first film was so unique, and Phoenix gave such a incredible performance. Just to add Lady Gaga to the mix as Harley Quinn is so interesting to me, because I'm pretty sure we're not going to get a sort of off the comic book page take on Harley Quinn, but I would love to see exactly what she does with this character. And Todd Phillips, his challenge in all this is to create a second Joker movie that's not the Joker from the comics. And I don't know how he pulled that off the first time and made $1 billion, but now he's tasked with doing it a second time and trying to come up with the same end result. That's got to be the most challenging thing ever. I really can't wait to see how this turns out. I do hope it's a success. I hope these two have great chemistry, and I hope that Lady Gaga is given a lot to do as Harley Quinn, because I really want to see a not a more comic accurate version, but just a sort of bigger idea for the Harley Quinn role. We've had, Harley Quinn on screen already in a few movies, but she's not been really given her big moment to shine just quite yet. So I'm really hoping Todd Phillips has written a lot for this next movie. Are you at all excited about Joker Part 2?
I'm nervous, as you can tell in the background.
Yes.
Harley Quinn is huge character that I love. Our dog is named Harley. Um, I was
So is
worried about.
mine. I'm serious. Yeah.
Nice. Well, my thing was when Marco Robbie got the role, I was really really nervous, but she did great. I loved her character as Harley. I understand Lady Gaga's done some great acting, but Harley is some big shoes to fill.
Absolutely.
And you know, I'm interested to see what Paul Dini thinks. Since he created Harley, um, and Paul Dini is a great writer. He is on my bucket list of writers that I would love to interview because his stories that he's done and he's written for Batman animated series. This guy is a genius when it comes to writing that kind of stuff. Um, I want to see what she's gonna do for this role. The Joker was different than what we expected as well. Um, but like you said, if they have that chemistry and she does bring, I'm hoping more a little bit of the animated series Harley. You know what I mean? Not, I mean, because the comic book form they changed her up a little bit in the
Sure.
current comics, but I want to see her role from. I'm hoping we get it, where you see the transformation from her being the psychiatrist to get into the Harley, to actually see her as her doctor first, and then what really turns her to become who she becomes.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see, and I hope they present that to us.
I hope so too. I think I like I mentioned, Todd Phillips has to write like a freaking masterpiece in order for this to work out, cuz I feel like you can get away with it once, but to do it, like a second time to write this sort of Elseworlds. I mean, they're kind of calling it an Elseworlds, right? Type film. So let's just go with that. Um, I don't know. You just have to. It's to me, it's almost impossible to write a Joker movie without there being a Batman, without there being a hero, and he somehow pulled it off, right? But now you're being asked to do it again, and you have to show us something we haven't seen before. And Harley Quinn might be enough of a new component to keep audiences intrigued and to keep audiences entertained. And we'll see if he writes a role so spectacular for Lady Gaga that he can pull it off a second time. I feel like that's one of the greatest feats in all of cinema. Um, because you cannot do this with any other villain. You're gonna write a Thanos movie without an Avenger. You're gonna write a Doctor Doom movie without a member of the Fantastic Four. Are you gonna write a Reverse Flash movie without the Flash? Like this doesn't happen. This shouldn't happen. This shouldn't be that easy of a thing. Don't bring up Craven. Don't bring up Venom, because clearly those aren't billion-dollar franchises. At least, what did the first Venom make? I remember it making some money, but I don't think it made anywhere close to a billion. Either way, um, Todd Phillips keeps sending out photos because people are not talking about this movie enough, and I can't wait to see exactly what happens with this film. Joker 2 drops on my birthday, October 4th, 2024. Todd, save me a seat next to you, sir, in the theater. I would love for my birthday present to be to see this movie at the world premiere. Let's How about that?
That
All right.
we need to make that happen. We need to somehow get what we got for Supergirl, where we were able to be at the red carpet, be there to take photos. Dude, that's what we need. That's our goal. We need to get Warner Brothers or whoever to invite us out there to cover the red carpet for this event.
Right? I would dig that a lot. Warner Brothers, if you're listening, as a birthday present this year, I don't want a lot, just a ticket to your red carpet event. That's all I need. I'm not asking for a lot. Actually, I don't know where I'm gonna be or on October 4th of next year because that'll be my 40th, and I am attempting to start planning like a trip. I don't know where I'm gonna go. I'm going as close as New Orleans, but I may go as far as like Europe. Haven't decided yet. But we'll see exactly what happens. All right. For our final topic of the night, a movie that many of you have heard. Of course, I'm talking about Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon, which just dropped on the streaming service on December 22nd. And now we're here to talk about it. Rebel Moon features Sophia. Oof, forget her name. I want to say Butello. Hang on. Mm-mm-mm. Butella. Sophia Butella, um, who plays a character named Cora, who's this farmer on this distant planet. We don't know too much about it. And Cora, one day, she's out in the fields, hanging out with her friends, and all of a sudden, what is known as a dreadnought, which is a spaceship that is commanded by the evil empire. No, not that evil empire, but one very close to it. Um, and all chaos somewhat ensues. Um, Things happen. We're not going to spoil anything just yet. We'll let you know before that happens. Um, but that's where the plot sort of takes off from there. The presence of this evil faction, these what dictators, if you will, um, the presence of this faction on the planet um, snowballs into some chaos, and she's left with having to try and defend this village against this entire army company. But in doing so, she must find a group of ragtag warriors to help her with the protection of her planet. That's what I'll say all about that. I'm not going to give any spoilers, but we're here to talk about it. Of course, this is written and directed by one of the most well-known directors in Hollywood today, Zack Snyder. Of course, who we all know as the Godfather of the DCEU. Um, Funny that we're talking about this now because DCEU just ended with Aquaman. Maybe we'll talk about that pretty soon. But this is a part of the show where we might get into some spoiler territory. Um, but first, Ray, I want to ask you, sir, your initial reaction to Rebel Moon. Go.
Okay. Well, if you've been watching the internet, you've been watching TikTok, Instagram, people have been dogging this movie left and right. Um, it's a movie. It's an entertaining movie. I kind of see where some of the little gripes coming from, but come on, guys. You can't have. Um, I understand he pitched it for Star Wars. They turned it down, but it's a good entertainment movie. My feel is I feel he took from a bunch of different movies and intertwined them with different characters that um to me, my opinion, um I kind of see the premise where he was what he was trying to do. um Anthony Hopkins is kind of a what, like a C3PO-ish, R2D2-ish kind of character.
Yeah.
um I kind of want to see what more that character has, because if I feel like he's going to have a bigger role in the second part, just because of what we see in the beginning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Um, I kind of you do see some resemblance of Star Wars characters to a certain extent. Um, but as a movie buff who's basically looking to, when you get off of work and you want something to take you away from whatever sucky day you had at your job and make you forget about that for those 2 hours or whatever, it's a great movie. It's entertaining. Um, I kind of want to see where it's going to go. It wasn't as bad as a lot of people have been dogging it. Um, the special effects were decent. Some of the ships kind of reminded me of old, big Robotech ships, kind of. You know what I mean? Um, and the blasters too were kind of bulky-ish, kind of. They kind of look like Cable's guns to a certain extent, a little bit. Not as big as Cable for Marvel, but just because how bulky they were. Um, but yeah, I mean, overall, it was decent. I mean, I didn't have much to gripe other than little things that one of the characters has a Marbach haircut. Uh, if you guys don't know, here in Texas, there's a part of town that a certain type of teenager youth cut their hair a certain way. Um, I kind of saw that in the movie, which was kind of sad. Uh, but that's what I thought about the movie. What about you?
I too enjoyed it for what it's worth. This is not by any means like some big, cinema breaking movie, but honestly, I was interested. I was intrigued. I was following the story. I was like, cool. Let's see what happens. This is a solid story so far. I'm digging these characters. I'll tell you who I really liked. The bad guy, Ed Skrein. I hope I'm saying that right. Who played Atticus Noble? I mean, like most sci-fi or superhero movies, um, can be what's the word? Elevated by having a solid villain, and Ed, who plays General or Commander Noble, dude is like fantastic. He plays that really sort of thin, line, that tightrope. He walked the tightrope between like intimidating but like pleasant. I don't know how you do that. It's one of the things that they kind of portrayed like German officers in like oh shoot, what's that movie? Glorious Bastards.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Where
And
they
he's the one
kind
that
of,
has the Marbach haircut.
there you go. But he like the character itself is fantastic. I love the dialogue in this movie. I like the visuals. Like you mentioned, the special effects are pretty good. Um, and there was like one big twist. I'm not gonna mention it right now, but there's one big twist in this movie. I swear to you, I didn't see it coming. I'm like, oh, cool, all right, I get it, and it really makes me want to watch part two because I think part two is going to be better than this one. So this one was good. I kind of what I want to say about that before we get into any spoiler territory. I thought Sofia Boutella was fantastic in her character. Um, what's his name? General Titus, who was played by Jimon Hanzu. Dude was jacked, and I don't know how old he is, but like he's making me look bad. He was like solid. Yeah, man. It was a great cast. Shout out to Ray Fisher, who he kind of had a small part in this movie, but I thought he played it great. Ray Fisher, who played Cyborg in the Snyder Cut, and who also I've actually interviewed before, many many moons ago. I thought he was great in that one too. I really want to see part two because I feel this one was a big stepping stone into what the grand scope of this franchise is. If it's a franchise, I don't know what you want to call it, two-part franchise. I don't know, but I do want to see what happens in the next one. Um, the story was good. I was entertained. I liked it. Yeah, it has. You know what is always great in Zack Snyder movies? The choreography. I really like the choreography, the fight scenes, all that stuff. There's never any lack of good fighting choreography in a Zack Snyder movie. So I'm not saying this is like the greatest movie ever. All I'm saying is I liked it. I enjoyed it. Bring on part two because I really want to see where this goes. Yeah. Is there anything that didn't work for you? I know you already talked about the Marbach haircut, but spoiler territory. You've been warned. Spoiler warning. Go ahead.
So the thing that kind of bothered me was his cane, or I guess cane. It kind of looked like a hip bone or something that
Hey,
he
maybe it
hit.
was.
Yeah, that he hit the people in the face with, and I was kind of like, that kind of looks kind of funny. But other than that, it just I would have wanted I guess a better weapon for him other
Mhm.
than just that, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but seeing her, I haven't seen that in a good while. Um, you remember back in the day when Steven Seagal would, he would somebody would punch him, he would take the arm and he would fucking break the arm, and when he would turn it upside down or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah.
seeing her do that to him to his arm was pretty cool. Kind of took me back a little bit. Um, the fight scene, like I said, fight scenes were great. That was one thing that Snyder did great was with Batman was the fight scenes he gave Batman were great.
100%.
Um, yeah, so I see what he did with her, and the fight scenes are great too. Utilizing her body, using her weapons, using the opponent's weapons, the knives, a little of everything that she was doing was just great. That's the only thing that kind of hit me was just that bone thing. Uh, and then of course the haircut. But other than that, it was kind of weird seeing the Princess Bride, as you wish actor. Can't remember his name off the top of my head right now. Um, but seeing him as in the movie as well was kind of out of the ordinary. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot. Honestly, there was nothing that really. Oh, Carrie Elves,
Yeah.
Elwes forgot how you say his last name, but yeah. Um, I don't really have any big criticisms of it. I mean, there was nothing that really kind of stuck out as a major downfall of this movie. Um, I dig it. Like I said, just want to see what part two looks like, pretty much.
Yeah.
Travis is in the chat saying, "Hope you guys are well."
Same to you, man.
Same to you, Travis. Happy holidays, sir. Yeah, I really want to see where this goes because I feel like there was not supposed to be, but this movie, we're getting these, warriors all together. We're gonna form up. We're gonna go against this, major empire like faction, this military. And I wanted to see what that looked like because you weren't gonna have an army against an army. You were gonna have like a few dozen, hardcore badasses going up against like an entire ship with enforcers on it. So we didn't get that, but we're building towards that. So I really want to see what the war looks like. If there's going to be a war, I can't wait to see what that looks like because I feel like it's going to be interesting. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Uh, Travis, he says he also enjoyed the film overall. Reminded him of watching his uncle play Legend of Dragoon or Final Fantasy as a kid. Dude, yeah, I've actually heard that a lot. Is that resembles sort of the tonality and the visuals of like a Final Fantasy game. So yeah, no, I totally get that. Biggest problem is becomes a repetitive. We need this dude. Goes to planet. Watch him kick ass for 5 minutes. Go to the next planet. Do it again. I can see that. I get it. I I was only okay with it personally because they all had very different motivations that were interesting. You know what I mean? And I'm trying to think. I feel like this is a movie we've seen before where you're having to like get these warriors together. And I know it's probably something that came out in the 90s. It's almost like 13th Warrior with Antonio Banderas in that way a little bit, but not exactly because he's not collecting people from different regions or whatnot. But I feel like we have seen this movie before and they kind of played it the same way. I don't know. But no, I get it, man. And if anybody had a problem with sort of that repetitiveness, I get it. I'm not gonna knock you guys for that stuff. Um, but like I mentioned, they all had these kind of different stories, and they all had these motivations for why they were gonna join this faction, and those were all interesting to me. Especially, I'm not gonna remember her name right now, but Nemesis, dude, the chick with the blades.
Yeah.
That was really cool. Going up against, I don't know what you want to call it, that Black Widow type lady. I was like, oh, all right, this is very different, but I enjoyed it. It does feel like a weird remake of Rogue One. A lot of the characters being near identical. Yeah, that might be the one I'm thinking of, and that didn't come out in the '90s, obviously. But yeah, Rogue One was a lot like that, right? Let's band together. Let's find all these characters, all these people. Got to take it to the Empire. I could see that. Very different motivation, obviously, but yeah, no, that was very similar. Oh, Blood Axe, Ray Fisher's Blood Axe, the bird riding dude. Anthony Hopkins is Jimmy, and Corey Stoll for the brief time he's in the film. Everybody had kind of like a moment to shine in this movie. Even Corey Stoll, who at one point was like in every freaking show on streaming services everywhere. Not to mention he was Yellow Jacket, right, in Ant Man. So he's fantastic. Anthony Hopkins as Jimmy. Ray talked about him a little bit. That is one of the more interesting parts about this movie
Yeah.
because Anthony Hopkins doesn't do a ton of voice acting. At least I can't remember the last time he did any type of voice acting, and not for like an animated film, right? But something like this, I don't recall that happening At least I'll probably look it up here in a bit and see if anything kind of sticks out. But yeah, it's a very interesting choice, and it really makes you want to see what's going to happen with that specific. Could we call him a droid, or is there something different we should call him?
Yeah, it's kind of weird seeing him, and I feel that he's gonna have a bigger part to play in the
Oh,
next season
huge.
or
Yeah,
episode. But what my thing is, um, Fisher, like we were talking about earlier, kind of reminded me of Bishop from the X Men.
right.
To you know what I mean, the way he was
Battle axe.
dressed,
Yeah,
yeah, Battle Axe kind of thing. But he was a great. That was a great character, especially the way he took down the ship, um, sacrificing. Well, spoilers. The way he took it down, but it was great. The acting was cool, but yeah, it was kind of weird seeing. Like I said, what really caught my eye and really got me thinking, and through the whole movie, I was kind of wondering. I'm like, there's more behind this robot, this android, um, because he goes, "Watch, I'm gonna attack him, and he won't fight back, or he won't do anything, or whatever." And him shooting him multiple times, and I was like, it was kind of weird. And then them telling him, "Oh, go wash yourself off." It was kind of, I don't know, man. It just, I couldn't get that part out of my head.
no, and I get it. What was that Will Smith movie where they had those robot slaves running
Oh yeah,
everywhere?
yeah, yeah, yeah. iRobot.
iRobot. It gave me those type vibes because there's times where they're mistreated, but they always have that programming where you can't harm anybody,
Yeah,
so people kind of feel free to do whatever they want to. But here's I don't. This isn't a true theory, but I feel like we're gonna get in the part two. There's gonna be this Return of the King moment where like Gandalf is on the top of the hill with the Rohirrim, and they just start charging down at the orcs. Also, one of the characters looked like an orc, by the way, but
yeah,
they're gonna charge down the hill and flank the enemy faction, and so that is gonna happen. But instead of Gandalf and his backup, the cavalry, it'll just be a bunch of androids, and they're gonna be like, "Yeah, we're here to kick some ass," and nobody's expecting them to be there. And yeah, that's my fan theory that I'm not even mentioning as like a serious theory that's gonna happen in part two. So yeah. Travis says Zack Snyder decided to remake Chappie, but do it better. Oh man,
that's too
Chappie
funny.
was so good, wasn't it? I love
Yeah,
Chappie. Yeah. Honestly, this film kind of had it looked great, had a great tone. All the characters are interesting, and on what would have made it really better is if you didn't separate these movies, right? And I don't know how long part 2 is, but if it's just an hour and a half to 2 hours, I'm like, just put them together, bro. Um because this does feel like a stepping stone, and that takes away from it a little. It does have kind of a satisfying end to this movie, but we've already seen the trailer or the sneak peek, the teaser for the next one, so we already know that Noble's coming back, and there's a bigger story to be told. So it just feels like it's a stepping stone to where we're going towards. And if you just would have released both of them at once, perhaps you have people who were a little bit more satisfied with it. I'm satisfied, but more of the general public is what I'm trying to talk about. Travis says he also laughed at the end when they were pulling the platform with the main girl towards them, only two of them doing it, while the strongest guy, their monologues, rest standing around watching. Yeah. He says this did feel like a forced part one. The last scene with them on horses feel like it was a shot last minute to make it feel like a real ending. Yeah, and I agree with that. It You cut that part out and just give us, whatever is part two. It probably just feels more like the epic story you were trying to tell, this grandiose, epic story you were trying to talk about. Space opera kind of feels like a space opera, if you ask me, but it's not a big knock on it. It's just that I am more interested in part two because of this. But I don't know if this was the only movie and there wasn't a part two, then I would just, I wouldn't feel as much for it. So we'll see what happens. I'm surprised more part two films haven't gone the route of Matrix 2 and 3, where they were released within a few months of each other. You know what? I actually think this is, yeah, and he's right. Part two, I believe, is coming out in, is it April?
Yeah, I think so.
I believe that's correct. And yeah, I really, that was just a major, yeah, April 19th. That was also like a major moment for fans when, hey, Matrix 2 and 3 are coming out, but you don't have to wait a whole year in between. They're going to come out, pretty close to each other. And we were like, what are you talking about? That was honestly like a pretty boss move, if you ask me. And it really put the focus all on that franchise. Like nothing else mattered because Matrix 2 and 3 were coming out pretty close to one another. But you also had to film them back to back. And I think that's where, a lot of studios are not willing to take that risk. They rather just, here's one movie, let's see how it does. Studios don't have confidence anymore.
I mean, you think about it, Lord of the
It's
Rings.
weird.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings, and what was the other movie that filmed back to back other than The Matrix and I think Lord of the Rings, right?
Lord of the Rings,
Harry
yeah,
Potter too,
Harry Potter.
back to
Yeah,
back.
there you go. All right. Well, we want to hear from you guys. Let us know what you thought about Rebel Moon. This is the part of the show where we give you our Geekcast rating. Rating goes from 1 to 5, 5 being Return of the King, and 1 being, I don't even have an opposite for that right at this moment, but um, I don't know. We'll just go from there. So I'll go first. This movie to me, like I said, solid film. I was engaged with it, um, even invested in like some of the characters. Didn't think I was going to be, but I actually was. Um, this is still, it still feels like a stepping stone to me. I would have preferred giving us both films at once, um, but not a whole lot else. I just feel like part two is going to be the big momentous moment, the event that we thought this was going to be. But this was solid, like the story, like the characters, not a grandiose film, not breaking any barriers by any means. But I will give this one a 3.75 out of 5. Ray, what about you, man?
I'm actually gonna have to give it a 3 just because
Ooh,
it was
nice.
entertaining. Yeah, normally I
Yeah,
know I give fives and 4.5s. But it just those little things kind of bother me. Like I said, the cane thing. What really got me was the Marbach haircut. That like it just is in my head. I just see those stupid kids wearing the haircut in and I'm just thinking in my head. That's all I saw, and that killed it for me.
it's all good, man. That brings our overall Geekcast rating to a 3.38. Not too shabby, as I always say. And once again, we want to hear from you guys. Let us know what you thought about the film. You can drop your comments below. You can always send us your own rating, 1 to 5 scale, on what you thought about it. And part two comes out April 19th, 2024. So, of course, we'll be back to talk about part two of Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon. Let's see. Travis also says, I would love to see a breakdown of how this would have been a Star Wars film originally. Dude, I agree. We'll obviously know the bad guys, right? Of course, obviously. Um, maybe like Nemesis could have been a Jedi.
That's
I
what I was
also,
thinking.
yeah, because she had the swords that lit up. and maybe that's what they were going for originally. But and if she wasn't a Jedi, she could have been something close to it, much like they did in Rogue One. I mean, this, like Travis mentioned earlier, this did have a lot of Rogue One vibes to it. Yeah. Travis out of 5 says 2.5 for him. And he said he enjoyed it. 2.5, so right down the middle for Travis. All right. We want to hear from you guys. Let us know in the comments below. You can also email us on the contact page of our website at www.countdowncitygeeks.com. And I also want you to visit countdowncitygeeks.com because if you haven't already heard, we are giving away advanced screening passes to Universal Pictures Night Swim. Hope I got that right, by Universal. Night Swim. If you do not know what it's about, there's a trailer. There's a trailer on our website, and these are for residents in Texas. If you are in Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, or Austin, head on over to our website to claim any tickets that are still remaining. I'm not promising tickets. This is just in case we still have some. Head on over to countdowncitygeeks.com. And if you are not already subscribed to us on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, please do so because we actually have more movies already in development that we're planning to release advanced screening tickets for. If you want to be first, be sure to follow us on social media or subscribe to us on YouTube so you can get first dibs on the next films. All right. That'll do it for us. Thanks everybody for joining. Do not forget to head on over to spaceconsa.com to get more information and your discount tickets for the event next October. If you're a Star Trek fan, a Star Wars fan, or a Stargate SG1 fan, you do not want to miss this event. The promoters are so amazing. They think about the experience of the customer first and foremost. You get the most for your money. It's so well organized. Think about all the things you hate about conventions: the space, the bathrooms, the food that's available. All of those things are thought about with this company and with these promoters. They think about all those things and they want you to have the best experience. So please go to spaceconsa.com for more information. Thanks for everybody in the chat. Travis, appreciate you, man. He said that one planet with the floating around columns looked like the startup animation for the PlayStation 2. There you go. PlayStation 2 reference on our stream. Haven't seen one of those in a long time.
Also,
Awesome. That'll
guys,
do it.
don't forget our sponsors, Alamo City, Dragon's Lair, Alamo Ranch. Check out our
Boom.
reviews. We're reviewing Godzilla versus the Justice League, Transformers, and then we'll be doing the Power Ranger review and Duke review as well. Uh, so just go out there and like and subscribe so you don't miss out these reviews on comics.
Yeah, there's actually a lot going on this week, right? The Countdown City WrestleCast, if you're a pro wrestling fan, is doing their end of the year show tomorrow. They are going to be giving out their end of the year awards, and those are always fun. So if you are a pro wrestling fan, they're going to be doing that. If you're a Ghostbusters fan, the Ghostbusters of San Antonio, which I'm a part of, and all the chapters across the country have been participating in a annual toy drive. And next week, I will reveal the final totals for the nationwide toy drive. It's been about 30 chapters all coming together to make this happen. It's for a great cause. Everybody's actually donating toys and funds to organizations in their community. Ours is no different. If you're in the San Antonio area, we actually have a toy donation box still at Dragon's Lair at Alamo Ranch, which is on the northwest side of town. We also have one at the Andretti's Indoor Karting and Games facility over by the Rim. You can also go by Real Retro, Ray's second job, and go drop off toys there. And then a shout out to Ekman's books and toy store, because we were out this past Saturday at Ekman's, and they're always fantastic. We got a ton of donations. Keep those donations coming. We're actually going to keep this going for about another week and a half, where you can still donate toys. If your kids got too many of the same thing, bring them by, drop them off in a box. Our donations are going to benefit the Big Brothers Big Sisters of South Texas, the CASA organization. They are the child advocates of San Antonio, as well as the community of Uvalde, Texas. We all remember the tragedy in Uvalde. We actually partnered with the public library over there. They're fantastic people. We do events 3 or 4 times a year out in Uvalde, and we can't wait to take these toys over to these kids, because they still need a lot of cheering up in that area, in that community. So you guys have been amazing so far. I would say we're close to about maybe 200 toys around there, if I'm taking a lucky guess. And there's still more time to donate. And if you have any questions, reach out to the Ghostbusters SATX on Facebook. It's not going to work. It's not going to adjust. Okay. That'll do it for us, guys. Thanks again for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. We got more interviews on the way, more fantastic things in the works. So be sure to follow us. That'll do it for the Countdown to the Geeks. My name is Ted, aka Steady. Joining me on this Rebel Moon review stream is the one and only Retro Ray.
Hey guys, peace out.
Have a good night. Later.